Aloha, hello. Let me just write a quick message in chat. I can't talk and type. I cannot multitask. Okay, what today? Where'd you come from? Stay with me, peeps. Hope I get the right spelling of your. That really irritates me. Right. Welcome. Nice to have you on. Thank you for your patience just then whilst I do my two-finger tapping on the keyboard. So today, I want to talk about hidden agendas when it comes to your goals. Let me just shut my window. Because we set goals. I'm going to talk in terms of financial goals for this, because I find that when you stick a pound sign or a dollar sign or a euro sign or whatever currency sign it is in front of some numbers, our emotions tend to go up. So when I'm looking to actively trigger something in someone, I tend to work in terms of money. And we set goals, we set financial goals, and we think that that is the goal. But unbeknownst to us, we have a hidden agenda or hidden agendas behind the financial goal. And these hidden agendas, if you're not aware of them, can distract or derail you from achieving your financial goal. So I want to spend a little bit of time today. I've got a couple of, what have I got? About 4 or 5 questions that I'm going to invite you to fill in the blanks for, so that we can start to get an idea of what your hidden agendas are behind your financial goal. But before we do that, I'm going to invite you, if you haven't already set an income goal for yourself, I'm going to invite you to set one right now. And I would like you to set a goal that is a stretch from what you're currently bringing in income-wise. So, for example, if you bring in 6K a month, then maybe your next step goal is 10 or 12K a month. So I'm looking for something that's a bit of a stretch, but not like a huge difference. Because what I found is if you ask someone to set a financial goal and you allow them to set an uber outrageous financial goal, for instance, I'm going to generate £1 million by XYZ. £1 million, based on where you are at the moment, can feel too unrealistic. And so there's a part of you that goes, well, that'd be lovely, but I know deep down that actually I can't do that. So it's not actually real. And because it doesn't feel real, it doesn't trigger anything in us. We're just going to go, oh, £1 million. So the reason I'm inviting you to set a stretch goal as opposed to an outrageous financial goal is I want it to be felt physically. I want you to set a goal that all of you says, holy shit, we might actually achieve that. Don't know how, but we might actually achieve that. That's not beyond the realms of possibility. And that tends to generate a much more reaction from us. So to give you an example, maybe your financial goal is what I just said. Maybe let's call it, so your financial income goal is 10K a month. And now I'd like you to double it. So it becomes, in this instance, 20K a month. But whatever you've set down for your income goal, double it. Just for a moment, notice how your body reacts. This is not something we're going to work on right now. This is a separate thing, income goals. But just notice how your body reacts and just be okay with that. It's okay. It's how your body reacts. It's like, ooh. And maybe you've got equal measures. Oh, it's really exciting. And not to do that. And that's okay. And as you look at that new goal, that doubled goal, I'd like you to write the following sentence. So I will pause dramatically for a moment while you scrabble for pen and paper. This is the first statement I'd like you to complete. And the statement is, when I'm earning that much money, I will finally feel, when I'm earning that much money, I will finally feel. And then how will you feel? When you are finally earning that much money, how will you feel? Abundant, happy, joyful, excited, successful, good enough, secure? When I'm earning that much money, I will finally feel. And don't worry if you've got a number of things coming up. Write them in. Just write them in. So when I did this for the first time, I had, I think it was successful, abundant, secure, and either joyful or excited, something like that. When I'm earning that much money, I will finally feel blah. The second one I'd like you to write out is, when I'm earning that much money, I'll finally know that I am, and then fill in the blank. I'll finally know that I am successful, good at business, authentic. When I'm earning that much money, I'll finally know that I am. And again, fill in however many you need there. The third one is, when I'm earning that much money, I'll have finally proved to, and then you're going to put in who you're proving something to. So it might be your parents, it might be your ex, yourself, that I'm successful, good at what you do, special. So when I'm earning that much money, I have finally proved to that I'm when I'm earning that much money, I'll have finally proved to, and then put in who you're going to prove it to, that I'm, and then what you're proving. The fourth one is, when I'm earning that much money, it will prove that this is true. And then this is true, we're talking about something a bit more spiritual, something like law of attraction, EFT, visualization, manifestation. It will prove that this is true. It will prove that manifestation and EFT works. It will prove that law of attraction works. It will prove that visualization works. Something that you do that is a bit more on the woo-woo side, and I say that with love, a bit more on the woo-woo side, but that everyone says is really effective, and you've been trying it, but perhaps there's been a part of it, it's just like, I just don't know if this is really true. This fourth statement is, you're going to write out what that is. It will prove that this is true. Oh, I hope you didn't hear that. That was my belly. I'm very vocal. So, four question statements. First one, when I'm earning that much money, I will finally feel. And then how you finally feel. And note the word finally. And maybe underline it. I'll finally feel. Second one, I'll finally know that I am. Third one, I'll finally have proved too that I am. And the fourth one, it will prove that this is true. And then we're going to condense that down into a summary statement. And the summary statement is as follows. I really need this money. I'd like to write this down. I really need this money because then I'll finally be, and say how you'll finally be, successful, abundant. One thing, one main thing. I really need this money because then I'll finally be, I'll have finally proved, and then what you'll have proved, that I'm good enough, that it can be done, whatever. So I really need this money because then I'll finally be, I'll have finally proved, and I'll finally feel, and how you'll finally feel. Again, ideally, you're wanting the main thing. So the other four, I would kind of encourage you to put a number of things in that come up. But for the summary statement, I'm asking you to concentrate on the main thing. So I've actually got my old one written down here. And I wrote, I really need this money because then I'll finally be successful. I'll have finally proved that I'm good enough to have a successful business, and I'll finally feel good enough. So a big thing for me was good enough and successful. And this summary statement and these four questions, not really questions, but you know what I mean, they reveal the hidden agenda behind your income goal. Because really the money isn't the true goal. It's just a way of keeping score. Your true goal that you are attaching to that income is this summary statement. And for me, it was all around success and being good enough. So in my head, I was kind of setting myself up for failure because I was attaching so much of my self-worth, my success, and my notion of being good enough to me achieving the financial goal. But it gets worse. It gets worse. Because what you're doing is when you have this hidden agenda, I'll finally feel validated, smart, good enough, whatever, safe, and you attach it to your goal, you're trying to prove that you are that thing, good enough, successful, safe, whatever. And you're so focused on trying to prove that as opposed to being that you attract opportunities to prove it as opposed to the thing itself. It took me a little while for me to get my head around that when I heard it first. I'm going to repeat it. When you attach the hidden agenda to your goal, you are essentially trying to prove through the financial goal that you are good enough, special, successful, validated, safe, whatever it is. You're trying to prove that. And you're so focused on trying to prove it that you manifest opportunities to prove it, not the thing itself. So it's almost as if that hidden agenda you have, it's just always going to be slightly out of reach for you. So by knowing what your hidden agenda is, you can preempt this. So when I found out that my main agenda seemed to be to feel good enough and be successful, And I was attaching that to a financial goal that said to me, I'm not going to be, because this is the word that finally comes in. By using the word finally, we're effectively saying we're not that yet. I was effectively saying I am not yet successful or good enough unless I can hit that financial goal. The reality is, what's my definition of success? What's my definition of good enough? And is it really attached to money? Turns out it's not, which threw me because I thought it was. So by knowing our hidden agendas, and the reason it's so important to know your hidden agenda is so that you can provide yourself with this now. It's not reliant on you hitting a financial number. So if your hidden agenda is, finally feel successful, have a think about, first off, what does success mean to you? But also, what are all the ways that you are successful now? Because in these statements, we're saying, and with these hidden agendas, we're essentially saying to ourselves that we're not successful yet. But we are. We are. For some people, just being uprightly successful. But when I looked at that, I thought, well, actually, I know through my work, my clients are achieving huge changes. I'm helping people. And it kind of, and though I knew that intellectually, it kind of shook me. Like, oh my God, I am really actually helping people. So I'm already successful. Holy fuck, I'm already successful. I'm already good enough. I'm proving that because of the number of people I work with and the amount of referrals I get through. I'm good enough. And so now I don't have that attached to my financial goal. It gives a different energy to the financial goal. I'm no longer trying to prove something. It's just a goal. It's just a way of keeping score for me. In the chat box, because everyone's very quiet, just pop in either, what are you talking about? Which I'm quite happy for you to do. Or pop in a little aha that you've just had. Pop in what your hidden agenda might be. Just pop it into the chat box now for me. Because what we can do is, if I get some feedback off people, we do a little bit of tapping. Otherwise, I'm just making up. The hidden agendas are all around feeling, proving, identity, and also belief to a different paradigm, or belief different to the paradigm we've been brought up in. Hello, Jill. Success and good enough. Oh my God, you're just like me. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? I think it's interesting. I'm a bit sad though. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of tapping around these hidden agendas. And I'm going to use success and good enough because it's pertinent for Jill, who's put it in the chat. It's also pertinent for me. I know, right? So let's do a little bit of tapping on that. So we're actually just going to dive straight into the eyebrow point. And if you've not tapped before, don't worry, just tap where I tap, repeat what I say. I really need this money. I really need to hit this income goal. Because then I'll finally be successful. Thank you, Jenny. Then I'll finally be good enough. Then I will finally be recognized. And I've finally proved that I am good enough. I'll have finally proved that I'm special enough. I'll have finally proved I deserve this. And I'll finally feel seen, validated, recognized, good enough, successful. That's why I need this money. And if I don't get this money, if I don't hit this income goal of, and then tell me whatever it is your income goal is, I'm going to say 30K a month. If I don't hit this income goal of I'll have proved to myself that I'm not good enough. That I'm not special. That I'm not successful. And as much as I need and want this income goal, because it will finally make me feel good enough, it will finally make me feel successful, it will finally make me feel recognized, I've got an awful suspicion that actually I'm not. So I'm constantly trying to prove that I am. And it's a battle. I am constantly battling this. I am constantly trying to prove this. And I'm putting so much energy into proving it. I'm putting so much focus on proving it that I'm generating more and more instances to give me the opportunity to prove it. Rather than just feeling it. Rather than just knowing it. And you know what? It's fucking exhausting. Swearing optional. I'm getting really tired of it. I'm tired of attracting all these opportunities where I get to try and prove I'm good enough. Where I get to try and prove I'm successful. Where I get to try and prove that I'm recognized. Because each one of these opportunities is actually a battle. And it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's tiring. And actually, it's making me feel really despondent. Maybe even helpless and hopeless. Maybe ashamed. And I'm just going to take a moment to honor that. I'm just going to take a moment to honor how hard I've been fighting. Because I thought I had to. I thought I had to fight to prove it. And the fact that I'm still fighting for that actually goes to show how important this is to me. But what if I don't have to fight to prove it? What if it's just a fact? What if I can find the ways where I am successful? What if I can see and acknowledge my successes? What if I'm already plenty good enough? What if I'm actually more than good enough? What if I'm fucking awesome? What if I'm already recognized? What if I'm already seen? Even if it's just by me. This thing that I'm trying so hard to prove I am, what if I'm already it? And if I have a little voice in my head right now that isn't buying a word of that, that is really mean and telling me that there's no way I'm good enough, there's no way I'm successful, there's no way I'm recognized, I choose to acknowledge that voice, but also to hear it for what it is, which is a ruthless, mean bully. I have a ruthless, mean bully in my head. And it never shuts up. Sometimes it even wakes me up. Just so it can be really mean to me. And I've been believing its lies. Because I would never lie to myself. Maybe. I'm open to the possibility that I'm onto my hidden agendas. I'm open to the possibility that by knowing what these are, I can find ways to give them to myself. I'm open to the possibility that my self-worth isn't connected to my net worth. But my net worth may reflect my self-worth. I choose to acknowledge and honor my hidden agendas. There is nothing wrong with having them. And maybe in the past, these hidden agendas have derailed me. Maybe they've distracted me from achieving my income goals. And I choose to forgive myself for that. Because I wasn't aware that I had any hidden agendas. Clue is kind of in the title. I choose to forgive myself for my hidden agendas. There's nothing wrong with these hidden agendas. And I choose to get curious as to how I can give them to myself. I choose to get curious as to why I feel I need to prove them. Where has that come from? What memory or memories are popping up for me right now? Around being good enough. Around being successful. Around being recognized. I'm just going to take a moment to get curious. Why do I think I'm not already these things? And how do I prove to myself that I am? And I choose to treat myself with compassion around this. I've tried the ruthless, mean voice. Maybe it's time to try being a bit nicer to myself. Maybe it's time trying to get these things from elsewhere. To stop trying to get these things from elsewhere. Is that what I said? And instead, give them to myself. And take a breath. Hidden agendas, a clue really isn't a title. And there have been plenty of times in the past where I can't really speak for me, but I've completely failed to hit financial goals. Because at that time, I had no idea about this thing called hidden agendas. So I'm going to invite you to keep an eye on this. When you are setting your financial goals, run through those 4 question statements and that summary statement. Because what you'll find is this is not just a case of do it once and it's done forever, because we change. Every time we work on ourselves, we up level ourselves. And so these things change, they start changing. And every time you up an income goal, so whereas 12K a month might have been a stretch for you in the past, now maybe the new income goal is 120K. It gets bigger each time. So keep an eye on those hidden agendas. Keep an eye on them and notice where you have them and what they are. And instead of trying or expecting to get proof of that from outside, from money or number of clients or what people say to you, instead of relying on the outside validation to tell you that you're good enough or successful, find a way to prove it to yourself. Find a way to prove it to yourself, or to reframe it so that you start to think, actually, maybe I am. Ooh. Because then you're fulfilling the hidden agenda, which clears the way for the financial goal. And during that bit of tapping, I referenced getting curious about why you feel you have to prove that you are those things anyway. And this is really interesting. I had a client yesterday who we did exactly this. She was wanting to go for a new job. She had been dithering and procrastinating around applying for anything. And she's getting really frustrated with herself. And so we dug into what the new job would prove. What would getting this new job prove to her? And it was good enough. If I get this new job, I'll finally feel good enough. But there's also a fear around rejection, about not getting the new job. So the question is, if I don't get this new job, what will I have proved about myself that I'd rather not prove? And it was that she wouldn't be good enough. So it was getting her coming and going. If she got the job, there's this whole, I'm going to be good enough, but then I have to step up to be good enough. But also, if she didn't get the job, it will prove that she's not good enough. So she found herself caught in the middle. No wonder she was procrastinating. And this all tied back, a memory surfaced for her, and it all tied back to something that happened in the past with a parent. Oh, it's always a parent. Curse you, parents. But it's interesting. So get curious about that. Because it's all very well finding out what the hidden agendas are and doing some tapping and becoming aware of that. But if you can get to the root cause of why you have that hidden agenda, then you don't have the hidden agenda anymore. So get curious. Now, there's another way you can play this. And I learned this from a guy called Blair Singer, who wrote a book called something like Little Voice Management, something like that. And one of the methods for managing your little voice, your little inner voice, he had was around a goal debrief. Because the danger with goals, and I know so many people who don't set goals, who are reluctant to set goals, or who set goals way too low or way too high that they know they can never reach. And I've done this myself in the past. This is why I've read the book. This is why I know about this. When you set yourself a financial goal and you fail to hit it because you don't know about things like hidden agendas and other good stuff around fears about hitting your financial goals. When you don't hit the goal, the first time you're like, oh well, that's okay. I'm still just the first time. Let's do it. The second time you still don't hit it. You're like, oh, I still haven't hit it, and you start like, why am I not hitting this? Maybe it's too high. Maybe I'll set it a little bit lower. And then you fail to hit that goal because you haven't understood all the hoo-ha in the background that's stopping you from hitting these goals. And so then you lower it again, and then you lower it again. And in the end, you've got a guy's like, what is the fucking point? What is the point of having this goal? It's so tiny. What's the point? And chances are you still won't hit it. Or you hit it, but it won't mean anything because it's so small. Or you stop setting goals entirely. And I had this with another client again yesterday. where I'd asked her to write out what her ideal life would be. And I get this, she's very intelligent. She's a very intelligent professional woman. And I get this a lot with my intelligent clients. Obviously, all my clients are intelligent, but I get this a lot with when you're really intelligent people, they kind of hold up their current life, and then they hold up what they think their ideal life might look like, and then they well, now I have to know the steps to get to my ideal life, and they end up cutting their ideal life down to size so that it fits in their current life, which kind of defeats the entire object of having your ideal life. And it tends to be really intelligent people that need to know how to achieve it. They need to know the hows, they need to know the steps. Where actually a lot of this is just, this is the goal. This is the goal. I've got no fucking idea how I'm going to get the goal, but this is the goal. And by directing your focus on it, the steps will appear. So there's a huge amount of just letting go and trust. And actually the phrase we used with the tapping the other day was, I'm like a lemming throwing myself off a cliff and hoping the step of growing wings will just happen before I hit the ground. So just take a moment to acknowledge, how you feel around that, because no one's doing this because they're bad or stupid. The people who tend to want to know the steps, tend to be people who are perfectionists. They like to do everything, properly and perfect. And those tend to be the people who had to grow up very quickly. They tend to be the people who, when children, for whatever reason, had to become little adults too soon. Not because their parents were bad or anything like that, but just out of whatever it was, necessity. So for my parents, it was, they ran a pub. I was an only child. I was left alone a lot. They didn't want to. They didn't mean to be mean about it. But the reality of the situation was I was on my own a lot. So I had to look after myself. I had to sort myself out. So I grew up quite quickly, which some people may not believe. I didn't necessarily mature, but I grew up quite quickly. And so then we actually liked the feeling of doing things well. We think, I did that really well. And then someone will say, you did that really well. I quite like that feeling. But it can almost grow to the point where actually we don't even need someone to tell us we're doing well anymore. But those people who had to grow up very quickly tend to be the ones who are very perfectionist. They tend to be the ones who need to know the steps. And a lot of this is actually, I don't know what the steps are, and that's okay. And if you need to do some tapping around that, then absolutely do so. And the tapping would look something like, in fact, let's do a little bit now. It would look something like this. Just coming up to your eyebrow. When I set a goal, I need to know all the steps to achieve the goal. And if I don't know all the steps to achieve the goal, then I really struggle to set the goal. I need to know the steps. Because knowing the exact steps up front gives me a sense of control. And I need that. I need to feel in control. I need to know the steps. I need to know exactly how to do it. And if I don't know that, I get very uncomfortable. I might get really overwhelmed. I might procrastinate around even setting a goal. And I end up just staying stuck in the same place. I need to know all the steps. And that's just the way it is, Claire. I need to know all the steps. I need to know exactly what to do. I need to know exactly how to do it. I need to know exactly when to do it. find it really difficult to just trust. It feels really unsafe to just trust. That the steps will make themselves known. That I can learn on the way. That I don't need it all figured out right now. And actually, there's no way I can figure it out until I start to take action. Because until I start to take action, I don't know what it is I have to figure out. But it's really hard. It's really hard to just trust. Because maybe I've trusted in the past. And I was disappointed. Maybe it all went wrong. Maybe I felt stupid or embarrassed or ashamed. So it's really difficult for me. I am reluctant to just trust. I am reluctant to make a move. I've only got a couple of steps sorted out. Because part of me needs all the steps sorted. And I just choose to acknowledge that part. Because it's scared. This is coming from fear. It's not because I'm bloody minded or stupid or anything else that I might tell myself. It's because part of me is scared. It's scared of not being in control. Because it learned it wasn't safe to not be in control. But the reality is, I can never be 100% in control. Well, that might make me feel something physically in my body right now. I need everything to be certain. But life is uncertainty. I'm trying to be something it's impossible to be. And then when I can't do it, I'm telling myself I'm not good enough. Oh, yes. I'm on to myself. And I choose to give myself a little bit of a break. I choose to just be open to not needing to know everything. I just choose to be open to feeling a bit calmer about not knowing everything. I acknowledge the part of me that is scared. And I choose to treat myself kindly. And I'm open to trusting. Nice deep breath in and hold it. And let it go. So back to Blair Singer. Let's close that loop, shall we? So something that I learned from Blair Singer was in his book, Little Voice Management, or something similar to that, was debriefing yourself when you haven't hit your financial goal. And actually, when I learned about hidden agendas, the two went like that. I was like, oh, they fit really nicely. And actually, we're talking about the same thing, which is a different way of approaching it. So when you have failed to hit a financial goal, either current or in the past, just take some time out and think about and write down everything that you did achieve on the way to trying to hit that goal. So for instance, if the financial, then we set a financial goal of I'm going to make 10K a month. And to do that, I'm going to have to start an email list. I'm going to have to advertise my services. I'm going to have to learn how to advertise my services. I'm going to have to learn how to do an email list. And you've done all those things. Fucking amazing. Big achievements. You've learned all those new things. And when Blair was explaining this in his book, he had actually set himself, I think it was a goal of 3, slightly different from 10K a month. It was 3 million, an annual turnover of 3 million. And he didn't hit it. He only got 2 million and something wrong. I was like, oh, I failed. But he did this debriefing. He says, okay, so what have I actually achieved on the way to trying to achieve this 3 million goal? And as he was going through that, one of the achievements was his dad ringing him, and when he hit like the 2 million mark or whatever it was, and saying, I'm really proud of you. And Blair said, oh, actually, that was it. That was the only thing I really needed. You could have taken everything else away. That, my dad telling me he's proud of me, was actually my true goal. And when I read that, and then I learned about hidden agendas, I'm like, that was his hidden agenda. That was his hidden agenda. And it got hit. And he saw that it got hit. He realized it got hit because he debriefed himself. And instead of just sitting there and going, oh, I didn't hit the financial goal, he had a whole list of stuff. Little voice mastery, thank you. I think it was something like that. He had a whole list of stuff that actually he had achieved, and it highlighted the one big thing that when he wrote it down, his heart went bang. That's it. His soul was like, that's it. That was the actual goal. And he'd achieved it. So actually, it went from I didn't achieve my goal to actually I did achieve my goal. It just so happens that the goal wasn't what I thought it was originally. If you haven't already read Little Voice Mastery, thank you, Jill, by Blair Singer. I always only half remember book titles. I gotta fill the rest in for my own imagination. Definitely check it out. It is a really, really good book. I've got it on audio because then I can listen to it in the car. But it's a really, really good book. Really recommend it. It's got loads of great tips and hints of how to keep your little voice under control. And the great thing is, when you learn these ways of mastering your little voice, you can also bring tapping on top of those as well. You can combine the two, supercharge it, put it on steroids. Awesome. So before we finish up, does anyone have any questions? I'm going to throw it open. Any questions? Anything at all? Hopefully related to this. Nothing like too taxing, like what blue moon it is today or yesterday. I shall pause dramatically in case anyone's typing frantically. So after this call, I'm going to invite you to sit down, maybe a little bit more leisurely if you need to. Think about your income goal. Remember to double it, and then run through the hidden agenda statement questions. Create that summary statement, and then you can always come back and redo the tapping around that, or you can do your own tapping by talking to yourself about your hidden agendas and why you feel that you have to prove what it is you feel you have to prove, why you are not already successful or good enough, where that comes from, and start to get curious. And this isn't necessarily, I wish I could just say to you, do you know what? You can do 10 minutes of tapping and all this will sort itself out. I wish I could tell you that. This is something that you're probably going to find is you're going to have to unravel it a little bit. You're going to have to unravel it a little bit. You're going to have to be a bit of a detective in your own tapping story. And don't be afraid of that. Get curious. All of this, totally non-judgmental. Approach it with just oodles of curiosity. This is an opportunity for you to find out some stuff that to date has been holding you back and to clear it. So from the stunned silence, I'm going to guess there's no questions. If you think of a question afterwards, you can always reach out to me, info@claire-turner.com. I will run through those statements once more, super fast, just so you got them at the beginning and the end. So the first hidden agenda statement question is, when I'm earning that much, I will finally feel, fill in the blank. Number 2, when I'm earning that much, I'll finally know that I am, fill in the blank. Number 3, when I'm earning that much, I'll finally have proved to that I am, that's my fill in the blank movement, by the way. Complete this sound effect. Number 4, and it will prove that this is true. The summary statement. I really need this money because then I'll finally be, I'll have finally proved, and I'll finally feel. And all of this gives you an opportunity to bring in a belief that is different to the belief paradigm you've grown up with. You have grown up with the belief paradigm that you're not good enough, that you're not successful, you're not recognized. That is why you have this hidden agenda or hidden agendas. It's linking into how you feel. It's making you feel that you have to prove that you are and validate. It's also providing you with an identity. Because when you have the hidden agenda that when you get this much money, you'll finally be successful, you're giving yourself the identity of someone who is actually at the moment not successful. So this is all opportunity to restart to get curious and get into how you feel, what you're trying to prove, what you think your identity is, and recognize the belief paradigm that you grew up with and give yourself the opportunity to generate a different, more empowering belief. Super, super powerful. So I hope that was useful, lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm back here again in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time. And I've actually got my arse into gear and planned out what I'm going to do. So next time, I'm going to be exploring soul wounds. Soul wounds and how they impact what you have in your life. Thank you, Jill. So if I have sparked your intrigue, awesome. I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. If you've got any questions in the meantime, info@claire-turner.com. If you have anything as well that you actually would really love to be covered in one of these sessions, please let me know. I'm here to serve. I'm here to aim to please. But have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and I will see you again soon.